we went the wrestling route. We're both junior college All-Americans.
Cool.
And we found that Power Four tends to get most of the shine and notoriety in the media outlets, and we just wanted to. We know that there's a lot of great schools out there, a lot of great coaches that are doing amazing things with programs, and we're just trying to do our part to help grow the sport, give back to the sports that we love, and give some shine to some schools that might not necessarily get notoriety, but are doing great things for student athletes. And Jimmy and I are big believers in what the junior college system can do for student athletes. And so, yeah, we've had quite a few cross country and track and field coaches and wrestling coaches from the NJCAA, and you were on our list. So we're here to learn a little bit more about you, learn a little bit more about snow, and all that you guys got going on, how the season's going, and how things are looking as we head towards the second half of the season with things like conference, regionals, and nationals.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, that's great. That's cool. What years did you run? You were the runner and Jimmy was
Yes,
the wrestler?
I was second in the Division III cross country championships in 1995.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
That's cool. So I ran junior college as
yeah,
well for first year. With UVU was UVSC
yep.
when I started, and I took sixth my first year at junior college nationals in cross
Oh,
country D1 junior college. Yeah.
awesome.
So, but
Cool. Well, we're going to get more into that here in a second. So,
cool. It's cool.
ladies and gentlemen, howdy and aloha. Welcome to another episode of Airey Bros Radio. We are here, you were there, and you are now rocking with the best, and we greatly appreciate you tuning in for another episode. Tonight, we're stepping back onto the cross-country course to lace up the spikes with none other than the Snow College head coach, Chase Englestead. But before we get rolling, y'all know the drill. Smash that like button. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. Drop a comment. Every view, review, and share helps us grow and give back to the sports we love. Follow us on Instagram, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. And as always, this episode is fueled by Black Sheep Endurance Coaching for all your ultra marathon and nutrition needs. Let's not forget why we're here over here at Airey Bros Radio. We're here to shine a light on the programs and coaches we wish we had access to when we were coming up through the recruiting process. If you or someone you know is looking for the right fit at the next level, share this episode with them. Now on to tonight's guest, Coach Chase Englestead. He was hired in 2024 to launch Snow College men's and women's cross country programs. In just 2 years, the men are ranked 6th and the women are ranked 7th in the most recent national NJCAA poll. With 14 years at Riverton High School, he amassed 5 region titles, the 2014 Track and Field Championships, and the 2022 Running Lane National Team Championships. They also participated in Nike Cross Nationals with the top 10 finish in 2022. He was a Coach of the Year, a USTFCCCA in 2014, and a UHSXCA Coach of the Year in 2022. As an athlete at Utah Valley, he was a 2-time cross-country athlete of the year and a school record holder in the 1,500 meters and the steeplechase, and an NJCAA All-American in the steeplechase as well. Coach Englestead, without further ado, it is an honor and pleasure to have you joining us this evening. We do greatly appreciate your time. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on, you guys.
Absolutely. It's an honor to chat with you. We're excited to get to know a little bit more about Snow College. And secretly, I have coaches from Texas and Utah we schedule regularly because I'm trying to convince Jimmy to relocate to one of those states. So we're going to put some good vibes out there with what you're going to tell us tonight. But before we do get too far ahead of ourselves, anything you would like to plug or promote, anywhere you want us to send recruits, any parents that have questions, anything that you want to put out there for Snow College, the floor is yours.
Yeah. So if parents or anybody's looking for information, just go to Snow College's website and athletic website, and you should be able to find anything to contact me. So I think that's
Awesome.
yeah.
We'll put all that stuff in the show notes for you. And the way we like to kick things off here, Coach, 2 ways. The first one is we like to present through lines to our guests to let them know how they came onto our radar. Obviously, you guys are doing great things in the polls and running well this year. But Coach Isaac Wood is a friend of the podcast, and he mentioned Snow College recently when we had him on. He's now at the University of Pacific. He was talking about the good things that you got going on there. So shout out to Coach Wood for putting you on our radar and getting us dialed in with everything you got going on. Um, the other thing we like to do, we like to hear origin stories. You know, we all have our origin stories to the sport, how that brought us to the game in terms of coaching. We talked a little bit briefly before we were logging on here, but Coach, what's your origin story to the sport and how did that lead you to coaching?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't see if I can keep it brief. So I grew up in a little town in southern Utah called Panguitch. Same school as Whitney Morgan. She's ran for BYU, Olympian. Another my track coach at the time, Troy Norris, his boy was also a really good steepler from there. He ran 8:39 in the steeple. So anyway, so I'm from that little town. We have a pretty rich history of sports down there. Um, yeah, so essentially for me, I grew up, played a ton of sports. My grandpa was a basketball coach at the college level. My uncle's coached for years as well. Um, yeah, sports is a huge part of our family, and I played everything. And but I was tiny, like most distance runners. They just not cut for maybe some of the mainstream sports, but I loved them. And kind of sat the bench in most of the sports I played. I made the teams, but didn't really play that much. My sophomore year, my dad forced me to run track, sophomore track season. And yeah, essentially, because he's my dad, I did what he told me to do, reluctantly. And so I joined the team. The coach is like, I think you're a distance runner. So he puts me in the 800. We go down and do my very first 800 race. And he seeds me in the 800 at like, I don't know, it's pretty slow, like 250 or something like that. He puts me in the seed time. So I get put in the really slow heats. And then one of my buddies, he gets put in a faster heat with a faster time. And I was like, kind of kind of the same thing with like other sports. I felt like I should be playing more in those other sports, but I felt like I was always overlooked. And so I was kind of a little bit bitter at the moment, like, oh man, like this is dumb. I'm way faster than this kid and he's putting me in a slower time. And anyway, so we go race and I end up running a 2:17.
Dang.
And my friend runs, I don't know, it's 2:40 something. I can't remember what it was. And it was cool because it was a really cool aha moment for me, whereas like I controlled my destiny, where in other sports I felt like I didn't. And so yeah, I just felt some freedom. I felt control. And it was kind of like that was kind of my first like love for the sport, where I felt like I had, yeah, if I worked hard, then I got the results. And if I didn't work hard, I didn't get the results. And if I didn't perform, it was my fault. And if I did perform, it was my fault. And I loved it. There was no coach to blame. There was no official to blame. There was no politics. It was just raw and pure. And I loved that. And it was really easy to get addicted to running after that. I still played other sports. It just running became the thing that was my thing. So, but it's kind of the origin of me starting. Yeah. After high school, pretty late actually. We went to a little town, so we weren't like we don't run very much. I was probably running 12 miles a week in high school, maybe. So maybe 5 days a week, 2 to 3 miles. We always just crushed it. We just ran as fast as we could, on every single run. And I got in it was like May, right before school year ended. I told my dad I was really interested in running in college. And so I sent letters off to different coaches. Only one that responded was a junior college coach. It was UVSC, so it was right now UVSC is UVU. I went up and talked to the coach. He's like, "Yeah, I'll give you a walk-on spot," and I went up there and just rest was history. Once I got around people, when I was in high school, it was pretty much me. I just ran by myself. Every workout was by myself. Every run was by myself. And when I got up to college, it was nice because I actually had people to run with and train with, and went up from 12 miles to 60 miles a week my first year at UVSC. And yeah, ended up taking we started the season probably between fifth to eighth on the team. So I traveling, but wasn't in the top group. And by the end, I was the number one runner and took sixth at junior college nationals and All-American in steeple later that year. And anyways, ended up being a really good experience. So from there, and then they went D1 after that. They transitioned to a D1 NCAA D1 program. And so yeah, stayed there until I was done. But
So you were there through the transition from a junior college to a four-year institution?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What was that experience like?
Yeah, it was good. So I'm from Utah. So in 2002, 2003 was kind of my year to run. And then I left on my LDS mission. And then I came back out of shape and overweight, and by that time they'd already transitioned. They'd been transitioned for a year and a half or 2 years or whatever. Um, and then yeah, it was good. I got back into shape and it was different for sure. And now yeah, so it was good though. But no, it wasn't super hard of a transition, I don't think. I think it was, I don't know, pretty natural. So,
Yeah.
but it was a little hard because they got put on probation for 6 years or whatever, where they can't compete at a national championship. And so my sophomore year, I think I hit a qualifying mark to run first rounds of nationals in the steeplechase, ran sub 9, and then but I couldn't run D1, which was pretty tough actually to like I couldn't actually compete at the national championships because UVU was on probation until I
Mm.
actually graduated. The year I graduated, they were off officially. So,
Oh.
but anyways, yeah. So that's
When
kind of me. So
went along there, did you decide you was coaching something that was on your radar as you were coming through running and stuff like that, or is that how did that come about for you?
yeah, actually I was a computer science major originally, and my grandpa got inducted into the Coaches Hall of Fame in Utah. And so I went through his meeting, and he's hilarious. He's just awesome coach, awesome guy, and he's at his inductee part, and they were supposed to all the inductees that got inducted were supposed to talk 10 minutes, and my grandpa gets the lady before my grandpa talked for like 45 minutes, and my grandpa gets up and he's like my dad told me to a good speech starts, has a beginning and has an end, and the closer they are to each other, the better. And everybody started laughing, and I was like, oh man, it'd be so cool to like follow my grandpa's footsteps. And so I switched my major. My college coach wasn't super happy because I was just barely eligible credit wise because I switched majors, but it was that was my determining factor was that day. I was like, I'm gonna coach for the rest of my life. And so my uncle Kay also coaches, insanely good coach. He's on his 55th year of coaching right now,
Wow.
so which is insane. So I think he's retiring this year though. So I have to make it. The goal is to be the longest Englestead coach. So I got another
Got a little bit of
40
ways.
years to go. So, but
Coach, you built quite the program at Riverton High School. What was that like starting that program and then seeing it go to the heights that it went to?
yeah. Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, we started, and there have been some good coaches before me, but uh, yeah, I like the guy that hired me. It's amazing. They had an amazing track program, but just hadn't had a really good distance program up until that point. And I think I lucked into some really, really good kids. My first years there that bought into wanting to work hard, and they wanted to be good. And those kids set the culture. And after that, it was just good from there. So I just some I feel like I got lucked into some really amazing kids that set the culture at a high standard. And yeah, it was good. But I think my first year there was 8 girls on the team, and there was probably 15 boys or something like that. And the fastest team average they ever had was on the state course in Utah was like 16:55 or something like that as a team on the boys side. And most of the years they didn't even qualify for state as a team. First year we averaged 16:50 with the very first year, and the next year we averaged 16:10, I
Wow.
think, on the state course. And then the next year we took fifth at Nike Regionals. So we had a pretty big. The first time we went down to Nike Regionals was that year before that, and we took 12th. And then the next year we took fifth. And yeah, just it's a really good progression, we felt like. So, but the furthest run I think they went on was about 6 miles, and we kind of gradually built them up. But they had a plan to run a 12-mile run in the schedule. And they were like, we could just go 13. And it was like the biggest deal ever for them to go 13 miles on a distance day, a long run. And so they did it. And it was like the talk of the school. Riverton High School was talking all about how they did a half marathon for training. And it was really funny. It was really cute to see how those guys like just caught into the vision. And yeah, but anyways, but
I remember those days when 10 miles was a far run. You thought it was like the end of the world. So I can relate with that. You had quite the program there. Were you looking at going the college route coaching wise, or
yeah,
did something just pop up for you at Snow?
yeah, so Snows kind of has a few things. So yeah, when I was so as I my first year after I graduated, I stayed and volunteered at UVU for a little bit. So just worked with the steeplechase kids and just ran with them for about a year. And I felt like for me to progress as a coach, I felt like I had to go to the high school level, have my own team, build my own program. I just didn't feel like the route of being a volunteer college coach was gonna help me grow as good. And so yeah, I transitioned to the high school coaching from there because I felt like that was the best route. Um, anyways, what was the question? Holy cow, what did I?
Were you looking at after building
Oh,
that program at
yes.
Riverton? Were you looking at leaving
Yeah,
for
so the
college?
goal was for me initially was just 10 years coaching in high school level and then try to attempt to go to a D1 or go back and coach at the college level, but I wanted that experience. And yeah, and as we started going, I'd apply periodically for jobs and but it was really hard. It was a really hard decision to leave Riverton. Snow came up and it just was a really I think it's just a really awesome opportunity. It's close to home where I grew up. It's in southern Utah. It's extremely pretty. Kind of like Colorado, where you guys, there's a lot of high elevation down here. So we have Fish Lake, which is 9,000 feet flat. We have Skyline Drive, which is anywhere from 9.5 to 10.5, and it just rolls up at that height. And so we have some really good trails down here, and it's southern Utah is super pretty. So that was a huge thing. I felt like I was giving back to kind of where I came from by coming down, and so snow kind of hit the mark for me. So it's just really a really good opportunity. I felt it was the transition was hard. It was really hard to leave Riverton because we'd been really successful and we were turning a really good group, and we were hitting about 100 kids on the team per year at, consistently, and I don't know, just had something built that was really good. Community was really good there too, so they were really supportive, and that was great. So.
Rich Coach is doing his sales pitch. He got me with the mountains. We're not in Colorado anymore. We're both on the East Coast, and
Oh, you guys are?
we're
I didn't know.
dying to get back into the mountains. We were in
Utah's
Colorado.
Utah's insane. Utah's
Yeah,
insane for sure.
yeah,
Colorado's insane, but yeah.
Are is snow on the east side of the state or is it central?
South Central. Yeah. So
So are you I take it you're west of Moab?
we are west of Moab.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Yep. Moab's about 2 hours
Okay.
exactly west of from Moab. The I-70 is right there, and just head I-70. And we have two campuses. This is a little confusing to some people. We have a campus that's about an hour north of where we're at, so it's in Ephraim, and then we're in Richfield. Richfield's a smaller campus, but they're using cross country to like push the numbers up in Richfield campus. So, but
Are
anyways,
the other athletic teams, are they on the Richfield campus or are they?
us in wrestling is here. We're
Oh,
here.
let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah, it's
got
cool.
me.
So,
You got
The
me.
two favorite
yeah.
sports.
Yep. Coach, you said you wanted to go the high school route to learn how to coach and build the program. What did you think you picked up at Riverton for Snow College as far as being a coach?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I feel like when you start out as an assistant college coach, you obviously can observe things, but you don't actually get thrown into the fire and have to do it and you're not answering the questions, you're not talking to the kids as much, you're not writing the programs. If you mess up and you're not really getting feedback to grow. I just don't think that it's the assistant coach route to start is the best way. I think after you've got some years of stuff under your belt, I feel like it's good. But anyways, that's at least the way I thought of it. And when I went through, I was like, I can stay here and be a volunteer coach, or I can, yeah, or I can go off on my own and try it out and test the products and be curious and try different things. And yeah, think that I think the high school route was good there, especially even to the extent of like organizing meets or handling administrative stuff or like, you know what I'm saying? You're doing all of that on your own at the high school level. And so when you get to college level, I feel like you're really prepared for any of that stuff really well because you've done it all before. So, where in college, I feel like it's divvied up a little bit, or if you're in a big program, a lot of times they have different people that are hired specifically for travel. But junior college level, that's not the case. You're pretty much doing everything, right? And so, just like high school. So, anyways,
And what's that process been like starting the program up with snow for you?
it's been good. First year was well. There's obviously some things that like you go into with an anticipation, expectation that to be a certain way, and it's just not as it wasn't as quite as fine cut as I thought it was going to be. So, but a little rough start just trying to figure out what they want and what they expect from the athletic department. But I think now that transition's done, it's pretty good. Um, yeah, transition wise, rough a little bit because they hired me so late. So I got hired like April 15th. And so I had to essentially try to form a cross country team in less than a month. And so that was really hard, especially because at the time Salt Lake Community College was there and they didn't have roster caps and they were doing really well. And then most of the really good kids get picked up by D1. Then the second tier, we're going to Slick, and it was just hard to pull a team together the first year. But I think once again I lucked into some really awesome kids, and I think yeah, things went well. So, but anyways, yeah, that was a little tricky. This second year, got a full year of being able to recruit and talk to kids, and that was good. So, team's a little bit more robust this year than it was last year. But
And so excuse me, we're in year 2. We got men's and women's ranked top 10 nationally.
mhm.
Did you expect that quick success?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's Utah's pretty Utah's a really, really good distance state. Really
Yeah,
good
big
distance state. And
time.
there's a ton of good high school kids to choose from. And so I don't know. I feel like we kind of have a good overall situation here. I think it's going to be really hard for us not to be successful. Um, yeah, which is just once again like the training environment's really awesome down here. Um, I get a lot of choice from really, really good Utah kids. Roster caps are probably going to benefit junior college, I would guess, just in the sense of like maybe last year, I'm getting a kid at elevation. My recruits are probably between 430 and 415 range, and that'll probably drop a few seconds per kid or whatever, which is pretty big. Getting a 412 kid at elevation might be a really big kind of thing. Anyway, so I think. Yeah, and I think that roster caps. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know if I'm answering the question,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I mean Utah, I think last year there was on the boys side there was 5 Utah teams that were ranked in the top 25 in the nation, high school cross country.
yeah, and I think they even looking at that, they kind of passively put 5 teams from 25 to 30. Like they're just like they're all Utah. Southwest region is just really, really tough at the high school level, and yeah. But anyway, I think it's just a good spot. I think it's we're going to be really hard for me not to be successful because there's just so many good things that are here and available. So yeah, so I guess it's pretty expected just because of that. But
Yeah, and when Jimmy and I were coming up, or especially from New Jersey, there's like a stigma to go into junior college or being a junior college student. Now with the roster caps and just with the talent that's in Utah, do you think that mindset is changing a little bit in terms of like, hey, this is a great opportunity. I can go here for 2 years. I can develop, and then maybe those looks that I wasn't getting for a Division I scholarship through the development of the junior college system, some notoriety, going to big meets to see the same kind of competition. Do you think kids are a little bit more open to the idea of running for a junior college now?
yeah, that's a good question. I think that I've had a little bit of that, but I don't think I had it. But I think a lot of that's because of Isaac. So I think he kind of broke that in Utah, if that makes sense. I think there was a
Mm.
lot of really good kids that were coming to run for Isaac, and they were competing really well, and they were competing just like very well against D1 schools. And so I don't think in Utah that stigma is that way very much. I haven't felt like I've dealt with that very much. Um, so people are excited to come to a junior college. People are excited to come run at snow. So I think, which is good. So there's going to be a point where soon where I'm probably going to have to be a little bit more have a bigger cutoff point for kids to come down. So, which is hard. Because I wasn't anything special as a recruit, right? I didn't. There was nobody today. Nobody would bat an eye at recruiting me. Ended up being like you guys said, a steeplechase record holder at UVU and 1500 record holder at UVU, but I wouldn't be recruited by that program anymore. And so yeah, it's just kind of crazy how the landscape's going. But there's going to be a point where they won't be able to handle as many kids as probably will want to come down and run. I think so. Um, yeah, but
That's a
anyways,
good problem to have, though.
it is a good problem. Yeah. So we'll figure it out. Like even this last year, like we had a few kids that came. I had a kid named Carter Day, he's Twilla High School, returned home from his LES mission. already going to snow. He's like, can I come run for you? And he was like a 17:30 guy and like a 10:40 guy. And I was like, I don't know, but our roster was small and he was already at Snow College. And I was like, all right, yeah, come and run. And he goes 6 months with us. He goes and does his first 2 mile, or he goes and does his first 5K on the track. And in his first 2 mile, he goes through at 9:20 through the 2 mile mark. But he was a 10:40 guy in high school, and was like, yeah, there's a whole bunch of those diamond in the rough kids like that I don't know, maybe figure things out later, or yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, I feel that's hard for me as a coach to put any kind of limit on us, because there's going to be kids like that are going to be really good D1 runners that maybe weren't really good in high school.
Right.
So JUCO is nice that way. It's cool that we get the opportunity to take kids like that and give them another chance. But
What do you think the ideal number is, or your goal for kids on the team?
that's a good question. I'm just gonna do whatever the school wants me. If they want me to push up to 50 girls and 50 boys, we'll do it. If they want me to cap at 30, then we'll do it. But I'm the only coach down here right now, and so handling more than 60 kids is a pretty tall ask, I think. And so without an assistant coach or two assistant coaches, but I think 30-30 would be great. If I could get 30 boys, 30 girls, that would be an awesome situation. So, but.
So you said you're a one-man show,
Uh-huh.
and one question we like to ask is how coaches run their program, because you're a CEO of a small business, and obviously there's no delegate. You're delegating to yourself.
Mhm.
So what does the majority of your workload look like? And at any point, what do you think you're kind of lacking because you don't have people to delegate to?
That's a good question. Most of the delegating stuff is like, I feel like kids need attention, right? They need somebody to talk to. And it's hard to be able to get to a lot of kids and make sure everybody feels welcome and make sure everybody can talk off their situations and stuff like that. And so at Riverton, I was blessed when I first started. It wasn't very many coaches, but as it went on, I got more and more assistant coaches, and I don't know, I think we were about 8 coaches to 100 kids or whatever, which is great. And I had some amazing assistant coaches. And so I think our program might have been as successful as it was because of the support that was there for the kids. Like my last year, we had like 25 freshman boys come in, and we had a kid specifically assigned to the freshman boys. And almost every freshman boy stuck out, right? And I think we had 7 boys break 5 at elevation or whatever that year, 8 boys, which is pretty awesome. And I think if we didn't have someone specifically delegated there, I think we would have lost half of those boys just because, yeah, they don't feel like they have a purpose or a reason that they're there. So if we're bidding big numbers, having an extra person there is important. If we're 15 or so, then yeah, not a super big deal. But what does the schedule look like is the second part to that question or first part of that question. So usually I get up early, either work out for myself or get up and do some sort of work in the office, either training schedule wise or administrative stuff or recruiting or stuff like that, sending off emails. I usually do recruiting calls every Tuesday night and Thursday night. So I go 5:30 to 9 o'clock at night is when I do my recruiting calls with athletes. And I do that yeah, I like being able to see them, and I like being able to feel their personalities. And the thing too that like if we don't have a roster cap, I don't mind bringing kids down as long as I think they're going to bring a good culture into the team. So there'll be some kids I won't proactively recruit because I don't feel like they will bring a good culture, even if they're a decent time recruit. I just we don't want to make I don't want kids to come down here and act like we're a junior college. Do you know what I'm saying? Like we're half in or like it's less than. Like we're down here to be really, really good and work really, really hard. And we have to catch the D1 kids. A lot of these kids want to transfer to D1 programs. And we have the conversation is like, you have to be just as good, if not better at the little things than they are. And so, um, yeah, anyways, yeah, so yeah, so that's what we're kind of looking for in the recruiting side of things. And then periodically on the weekends going into meets and hanging out and talking to kids. Summertime's fun because I go down and run with some teams and talk to them there, and that makes it really enjoyable. One of the nice things about junior college is that's not a restrictive thing for us, which is cool, meaning that I can go and yeah, they go on a run, I can go run with them and stuff like that, which is good. So go out and meet teams and get my face out there and yeah, things like that. But anyway, so that's kind of the workload schedule. Not too bad. It's fun. So
And talking about that culture and talking about recruiting and kids leaving to go to different schools, transfer on to four-year institutions, is the conversation of staying there for 2 years, is that an important part to the recruiting process? Like, are you trying to get
no,
kids that are committed to being there for 2 years, or are you okay
no,
with,
I just whatever's the kid feels like best for them. So
yeah.
if they are running really, really good and they want to go to a D1 level right off the bat, then love it. You know what I'm saying? And so same with recruiting, like a kid is on the border of going to D1 or coming down to snow. And like there's no pressure. There's plenty of really good kids in Utah and we'll always have a good program. We're always going to work hard. And so I'm not concerned about as much about winning the national titles or going after national titles. I am like putting that kid in whatever he thinks is their best situation or she thinks is their best situation. So, yeah, so I think some kids will just be here for a year and some will be here for 2 and some might redshirt and be here for 3. I don't know. So, see, just depends on the kid and what their situation is.
How has the season been going for you so far? I think we're maybe 4, maybe 5 weeks in, depending on when you started competing. How's it been going?
Yeah,
How's the squads looking?
they're good. Yeah, both of them are running really good right now. I think that the energy is really high right now and the confidence is really high. And I don't know, I think we kind of have this like obviously the kids want to transfer to D1 schools, but we want to be able to like take non D1 recruits initially and like compete at least. We don't want to show up to meets and just get trounced. And so the big goal and the good big vision is like we want to show up to meets and like scare the D1 schools. Like, oh, we don't want Stowe to show up because we don't want to get beat by them. And so I think it's kind of one of our things that we want to get after. And I think I think that they're in a position to be pretty competitive against some of the D1 schools here at least fight with them. We might not beat them, but anyways, we're excited about that. So energy is good right now. Like their workouts are really good. We did Saturday we did a long run, a hard long run, and we did so they start at like fast and distance day pace or distance day pace, and then they cut off a minute and then they bounce back between distance they pace. So essentially the boys workout was 6:45, then they go 5:45, then they go 6:30, then 5:30, then 6:15, then 5:15, then 6, then 5, then 5:45, then 5, and then 4:45 until they essentially are done kind of a thing. And yeah, we had a group of 5 boys that did the whole workout together, all ended around 4:45 for their last mile. And so they're in a pretty good yeah, they look fit. They look really confident right now. And I think come November, I think some people will be surprised. So how good we look. So um,
Rich, that sounds like trying to go on a leisure run with you in the mountains, and the next thing I know, I'm throwing up red velvet. Um, Coach, talking about the training and that workout that seemed pretty brutal. What's your training philosophy? Are you a threshold guy or a VDOT guy? Anything like that?
yeah, so we initially when I first started coaching, my buddies had told me that Lydiard was the way to go. So I read any Lydiard book that I could find, and then American Forks coach Timo is a Lydiard guy, and he's really been a really good mentor. He loves talking, and he'll sit hours and hours with you talking about training, and so a lot of stuff there, and so. Yeah, I would say Lydiard first. So a lot of sub threshold type stuff. Just build the big base, lots of mileage. Yeah, and then try to put it all together towards the end. Yeah, yeah, a lot of aerobic stuff for sure. So we try to be as holistic as we can. We do our lifting 2 to 3 times a week, but it seems like the best programs in the country, the Colorados, the NAUs, the BYUs, consistently are doing a lot of aerobic work. So that's yeah, definitely geared that direction. And obviously, one thing that's nice in high school, I felt like if I had a kid that was really good turnover, that was running cross country, I felt like I had to have them for cross country. Um, and so training was a certain style even for them. Um, but now it's nice because I feel like our team's big enough that if I get a kid that has good turnover and stuff like that, we can be a little bit more specific to their needs, which is good for during. So if they're an 800 guy, so we might depends on the kid, obviously. So certain kids will be a little lower volume, certain kids will be a little higher volume, but for the most part, yeah, that's kind of how we're structured. So
Are you dipping your toes into the double threshold waters at all?
Yeah, we did a little bit in high school. Kids liked it. Actually, people think of double threshold a lot as like trying to push limits, and I think there's definitely some good to that. But like, let's say typically, we do like 8 miles at threshold, or 7 miles at threshold in high school, and maybe 8 or 9 in college or something like that of total threshold work. Um, if I feel like a kid, I want to get threshold work in, but a kid we just need to recover them. So we're coming off of a hard week, or they're just a little tired or a little sore. I might double threshold just for the sake of recovery, right? So just I get the work in, I get the volume of 8 miles that I want in, or think that they need, or like we're trying to push towards, but then it's not as hard because I'm splitting it into two different workouts, kind of a concept. Yeah, and then we'll obviously try to get a little extra total threshold by splitting it up into two and still recover from it. So which is good. Yeah, we definitely will dabble in some double thresholds. We haven't done full on Yakov, two thresholds on Tuesday, two thresholds on Thursday, and then some hills on Saturday with some threshold on top of that. We're not at that stage.
Sure.
And a lot of my kids, we're in a little town. A lot of the kids I'm getting are coming from little towns, and they're coming to me with 30 miles a week. And so there's no chance we're doing double thresholds with those kids. They're not ready for it. And so we feel like we got to get to a point where they have the volume to be able to, if we do a double threshold and they do 4 miles of threshold plus warm up and cool down and do that twice, that's 16 miles. If we warm up for a mile and a half, then, we're still at 15 or 14 miles in that day. And that's just too much for a kid that's only running 30 or 40 or 50, and so usually have to make sure the kids are up to, that 70, 80 miles a week at minimum, probably to hit them in those double threshold type workouts. But yeah, I love the aerobic stuff and pushing it. So it's good. Kids like it. It's novelty too. And that's what the Ingebrigtsens doing. That's what some of the best in the world are doing. And so they want to do it. And so if nothing else, it's just they get excited for those type of workouts. And so I feel like there's gains from them just for the excitement side of things.
So talking a lot about the training, I'm going to completely derail the conversation and go
Okay.
back to Snow College and the campus to give our audience a little bit more details about the college. Well, what's the college as far as, is there any specific majors that kids are going there for? Are there dorms, things like that?
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of give it kind of a pitch for this. So like I said, we have two campuses. The northern campus has 3,500 students. We only have about 500 students down here. Um, the northern campus is predominantly like what their focus is like artsy stuff. So they have a really good art program. They have a really good music program. And down here is more tech focused. So electrician, plumbing, composites, diesel mechanic, things like that. If nursing, cosmetology, those are the kind of things. So if you're specifically going into those, it's a really good fit. And then obviously you can do your general eds. You can still go and get like your business associates down here, just a general associates or something like that. But for the most part, most people are coming down just to get their associates and then transfer on to uh, a D1 or 4-year school. Housing wise, housing's right on campus. And so awesome thing about it is like every distance runner lives next with the distance runners. The apartment next to them's distance runners, the apartment above them's distance runners. So it's a really cool like environment that way. They get really close. The We use Richfield High School's track because we don't have a track down in Richfield, but it is 200 meters away from the apartments. The campus is about 200 meters away from the apartment. They have a bike trail that's just right there next to their apartments. They step off and they're right on a bike trail from their apartment. Our mountain trail, they can get on a mountain trail within 400 meters. So on soft surface, going up hills, single track trails, or up in the mountains, or climbing, or whatever they want right there. We swim twice a week, minimum. And that our pool that they use is 600 meters away from the apartment. And so we kind of just have everything that we need like really close, which is super cool. Um, yeah, kind of to pitch the small campus thing because I feel like that is something that if someone's listening, it seems a little bit, it feels weird. Like, I know for me, when I came down to take the job, I was like, oh, this is kind of not what you'd expect. Traditional high school kid views college as like, go to college, stay up late, party. There's tons of stuff to do. Um, Down here, there's just not that, right? The advantage to that is that, like, that lifestyle isn't conducive to being successful in running, right? If I want to be successful in running, like I don't know, you can't stay up late, you have to eat well, you're not partying, you're not doing any of that stuff. And I genuinely feel like 50 to 7% of people that go on to college don't get anywhere near their potential because they live the college life that they've been told, right? Like this is so fun and it's cool, it's fun, but you're not going to be a great athlete if you're doing that. And I think our environment down here is really conducive to avoiding those distractions that pull us away from being successful. We always say you want to feel like you're swimming downstream for success and not upstream. And I felt like when I was in college, I'd have random roommates and they would be watching movies or having girls over or like doing stuff at night, and it was really hard to be like, hey, go to bed. You're an athlete and sleep's such a big priority. And so it felt like I was always pushing against the current. And down here, I feel like it just naturally happens. You eat well, you sleep well because everybody you're around is wanting to do that, which is cool. So, yeah, kind of feels like a Kenyan training camp, or I don't know, kind of has the once a runner, Quentin Cassidy up in the mountains
Oh,
feel
that's
to
cool.
it. So, yeah, that's
Sounds like
awesome.
a little Olympic training center.
Yeah, it's awesome. We love it down here for sure. So, obviously, I'm biased, but like it's sweet. So.
Coach, with 500 students on that campus and the two athletic teams are wrestling and running, two sports that go hand in hand, are the majority of kids that live on campus wrestlers and runners?
Yeah, yep. We almost take up every apartment building is almost on campus is pretty much us, so which is fun.
Yeah, that is awesome. And I know that Utah, like you've said, has a rich running tradition. That said, have you tapped into any international students at all?
I'm sure you guys know, but international as soon as I created a direct athletics account, I started getting emails from foreign from Kenya, things like that. And so, but and there's it's tricky because we're not a college that's like our college is pretty cost effective for Utah kids. So it's $2,000 a semester for tuition, and then it's another 2,500 for housing. And so kids are not, it's just extremely affordable for people. And but for out of state, it's out for out of country, like international students, is not. And so for me to bring a kid down from a Kenya or something like that, I might be forking out $20,000 or something like that for a kid for a year, where I can get 10, 15 Utah kids that are still pretty dang good for that same amount of money. And so it doesn't seem, I think it's a great campus for an international student. And I wouldn't be opposed to it just because like I think it's cool that those guys get an opportunity to come over and get an education. And so I think that's fun for them to be able to get that. I just don't think we don't need it specifically, if that makes sense. And I do think it's fun. Like I think last year we took 11th last year in our first year on the guys side. And there was no only team that was 100% like American made or homegrown that beat us was Slick, right? And so I think that was pretty fun for us to be like, hey, we were just a Utah team, and Utah has a lot of pride in we think we're the best distance state, right? And so there's a lot of pride that direction, and I think that like being able to take just Utah kids and go compete against the Kenyans that are really there's a ton of them in the junior college levels, really fun for those kids. They're like, hey, we're gonna go represent Utah, and they can go represent the Rift Valley, and it's really fun for the Utah boys and girls to just get after that. So I think they like it. I think they're excited for the challenge of representing Utah really well at the college level. So yeah, international students. We might get. There's one kid. I would send off this thing with like a ridiculously low number, like that can't support them, and one kid's like, "Okay, I'm coming," and I was like, "Oh, okay." So we might get one this track season. We'll see if that ends up playing. He has to get his visa to come through, but I didn't offer him very much money, so he's paying the bill somehow his own way mostly. So, anyways.
I would imagine with the price tag, it's got to be a huge benefit for recruiting.
Yeah. For us, it's they're coming here in a better situation than scholarship at other places, right? Housing in Salt Lake area is more than everything down here, right? So we're about half as much total cost or total out of pocket than any other school and just in Utah, right? And so that has a program, that has a running program. So they could potentially get in better situations if they lived in those areas, but for the most part, most kids financially are coming into a better situation with no scholarship here than scholarship somewhere else. So, which is nice.
Yeah.
But
Are both men's and women's rosters completely Utah student athletes?
no, no. So
No.
Utah's predominantly Mormon, right? LDS.
Mm-hmm.
And so kids outside of Utah that are LDS want to come to Utah, I think to find a wife and just somebody that's in their, their culture. And so and I think so they gravitate to Utah. So we've quite a few out-of-state kids actually reach out to come and run here that are LDS. But we're probably 50-50 right now though, LDS and non-LDS on our roster. But anyways, yeah.
Cool.
So we'll get some out of state. We have a really good kid from Ohio, ran for Beaver Creek, which has an amazing program, and we have a good kid from Texas right now that's running for us too, and so it's pretty good. So a few right now. We have another kid from Texas that's just got back from his LDS mission, and he's gonna take a block class and start training with us in a couple of weeks. So just got back, but it's fun. But
Cool.
yeah.
Coach, who do we need to keep an eye out on at nationals?
That's a good question. Probably not the best person to ask just because I'm focused on just the process and us. I've just going with the flow right now. I don't know how the scene works super well in the junior college
I
yet.
meant from, I'm
Oh,
sorry,
from our
from
team.
Snow College, yes.
Oh, okay. Now we got some, geez, girls pretty much are all the same. And I think all those girls I will hit somewhere in that 18:30 to 19-minute range for our girls. That's where they're looking, and we probably have 7 girls that probably be in that range. But none of them's really Reese Moss is running really good. Um, Brighton Gould is running really good right now, but it's hard to say because they're so close to each other who's going to be. Um, Boys side, McCade and Tim transferred from Slick after their program kind of had a little bit of a struggle with the cutting some things, but he is looking insanely good right now. I think his last mile of that workout was 4:34, which is
Jeez.
pretty awesome, and he looked amazing. Carter Day, I mentioned last. He's just the longer it goes, the better he gets. Super good. David Barlow, a Water Canyon kid, just really small town in southern Utah. Running really, really good right now. On the boys' side, I know Brett Bailey also transferred from Slick. That kid's looking insanely good. Yeah, I don't know who else. Geez, Vaughn Wallace, the Olympus kid, went the same place as JoJo Jordan High School. They're good buddies. He's looking insanely good right now. So boys wise, we have 5-6 boys that are looking really, really solid right now. That each of them, I don't know how many would, but I think each of them have the potential of going top 20 this year. So if they could all hit it at the same day, that'd be sweet. But they're tough for sure. So yeah.
How many kids did you pick up from Slick this year?
We picked up 6 total that came down. So not a ton, but they had a team of like 85 and so or something like that. And I think they only kept I think they have 15 on their team or something like now. So it got shrunk dramatically. And we picked up 6 of those. So I thought more would come, but yeah, anyways. But the kids that we did get are pretty awesome. So we looked into some really good kids from them. So but
Will you guys be towing the line for the half marathon championships as well?
yeah, we will. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Will
think
you do
we'll
any sort of half marathon other than maybe like long run type stuff where you throw in?
yeah, just long runs. We have some kids that are geared more that direction. And
Yeah.
so we still want obviously I feel like the half marathon is just icing on the cake.
Yeah.
For them, where focus is the 8K and running really good there. But we'll make sure that we maintain that long run and some fast long runs so that when we're adequately prepared for that half. And we'll probably bring 3 extra athletes down, both genders that will come in fresh for the half and hopefully, yeah. So put us in a little better position. And we have some kids that are not quite as good at 8K, but they're way better on the longer stuff right now. And so I think that'll be good for us. So I think we'll have a few boys that will be great that direction on that side. But
Now, coming from New Jersey, people always think that winters out west are way harsher than the winters on the East Coast, but we know that that's not the case. The winters out west are pretty amazing. Will the guys and gals, will they be ready for maybe November conditions in Fort Dodge, Iowa?
Oh, is that what is it going to look like? I didn't even look at that. Is it going to be cold in November?
In Fort Dodge, it'll probably be pretty chilly.
All
Windy.
right, that's
Some
awesome.
of
Good.
the
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be ready.
yeah,
Yeah,
some of
we
the
handle I feel like Utah handles transitions. Colorado too. Like it doesn't matter the weather condition, it's hot, if it's cold, we're pretty good at handling the shifts. I think we get some big shifts here. It's really hot in the summer, it gets pretty cold in the winter, and we train year long or year round outside. And so I think, yeah, we'll be ready for it. That's good to know though. I'm gonna talk to the boys about
yeah.
that
And
tomorrow,
I think
girls.
anytime you're coming down from elevation, you're gonna thrive, and regardless of what the weather might be.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, and we're up in the mountains. Yeah, it just doesn't matter. We don't care though. We're gritty. So yeah, Utah kids are well prepared for it, I think. So
What is the elevation at the dorms?
5,300.
Okay,
So
perfect.
Perfect.
yeah. Yeah, so it's good. Yeah, we can get up to 8,000 in like 15, 20 minutes though. And then we're at 40 minutes, we're up in at 9, 10,000. So we're not, it's pretty easy for us to get pretty high. We actually the mountain right to the southwest of us, has the highest road you can drive in Utah, and it gets over 12,000, which is cool. So you can take a car up to 12,000 if you want to, which is pretty sweet. So um, it's good. Elevation's good down here for sure.
I'm sold, Jim.
Oh yeah, especially I don't think high school kids realize the benefit of that of being at a college. You're there to run and you're at elevation and you can keep on climbing and you're sleeping at perfect level to recover at. I think
Yeah.
that's a huge sell as well.
Yeah, agreed, agreed. Yeah, I tell when they come on, I say every elite athlete looks for places. They look for boulders, they look for Flagstaffs, they look for Park Cities, and I'm like, we're as good as any college in the country with in regards to elevation for sure. So, and I training wise, we're pretty tough too. So on that side of things, just the environment, just the type of trails and the scenery and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty awesome. So. But,
Rich, I got one more for Coach before we get into the Final Four, but it's kind of gonna derail what we're on. So if you have anything else,
Coach, what are the key, other than nationals and regionals, what other key meets do you have before that?
Good question. We're going to SUU because they're close. On the 4th, and then we'll be the 10th up at Utah State. They're big ones for our athletes because in cross country, when they're trying to make themselves marketable, we feel like most of them want to stay in Utah, and the way they become marketable is by competing directly head to head with the D1 schools. And so it helps bridge the gap for them to see if they can make it there mentally, and then also helps showcase their fitness when they go head to head against them. And so those are big for them. I think they really get geared up to running those. And then we're gonna host conference down here this year, which will be fun for us. We're gonna do it on Palisade State Park. It's a brutal course, so on a golf course, it's fun. So it'll be good. So first time we've kind of like formally held conference, which is good. We hold it, but usually in unison. And we decided since we Colorado Northwestern started this year, and so now we have four teams in our official conference, that we're going to make it a little bit more formal conference championship, things like that. So that one will be fun, and we're excited to host it. So,
And what's the conference?
but what I don't know is SWACs. So it's Scenic West Athletic Conference, I
Scenic
think is what
West
we are.
Athletic Conference.
Yeah.
Cool.
Coach, you mentioned some of your athletes going on LDS missions. You said
Hmm.
you went on a mission when you were in college. We talked
Yep.
to Coach Wood. He told us a story of a gentleman holding him up at gunpoint to buy cigarettes and beer for him. I'm
Okay.
curious, do you feel having that experience in your life that helped you for being a coach and recruiting?
Yeah, yeah. I don't think people realize the value that doing that brings. I was reading a book, I don't know, it was probably 6 or 7 years ago, and they were talking about how their organization really worked on getting kids to take gap years and go outside of their culture and experience the world before they start into college and stuff like that, and how much they transition to life better, and how more disciplined they are, and how much more like the perspective they get and stuff like that. And I think the LDS mission is so invaluable for those young men. So it's controversial. The LDS mission in the NCAA, Let's Run, is controversial about like age cheating for BYU and stuff like that. And it's definitely not for the sake of for fitness. A good portion of those kids don't ever run again because they go on the missions, they get out of shape, and it's like, oh man. But the kids that come back, they're out of shape, but the skills they acquire, the maturity they require, I think it's a huge advantage, a huge advantage. Just they come back and there's just not they're more disciplined, they have more clarity, they're harder working, they're good at handling adversity, right? So you have scenarios where people are telling you no all the time, and some people are really mean to you, and and so people just are really good at handling when things don't go their way. And so I think it's just a really good for me as a coach, it was a great experience, helped me as an athlete. Yeah, I think that most of the kids that go on missions come back better kids, and I think yeah, better athletes for it. So I think there's an advantage for it, but not how most people think of it, if that makes sense. I think most people think of it just they've got older and they've matured, but there's a ton of kids that come back and they get dinged up, or they're just out of shape. And I definitely don't think it's that direction, but
I never saw it from the perspective of a gap year. And Rich and I talk about that all the time, how we believe that is crucial for young adults. So I appreciate that
yeah.
perspective. Is there an age, like a certain age? Because like sometimes you see kids start college and then they go do it and then they come back. Is there a certain age, or can you go right out of high school?
Yeah, 18's the start for guys and 19 for girls is how they do it right now. When I was in college, it was 19 is when the guys went. But a lot of kids will take a year first and then go mission, so they can kind of decide how they want to do it. But the I guess the encouraged age is as soon as high school's done, then head out. So
Well, thank you for educating the Airey Bros on that. We always like to learn over here, so we appreciate that.
yeah.
Rich, you ready for the final four?
Let's do it.
All right. I think I already know the answer to this. Coach, are you a coffee drinker?
No, I don't drink any coffee. I'm extreme actually. My coach when I was a sophomore told me no soda, and I haven't drank soda since. So I have not drinking a soda since 2000, what, 2000 year 2025 years now. Haven't touched a
Nice.
soda. So I am like extreme, but not because of any kind of religious belief, just because my coach told me I'd be a better athlete if I didn't drink soda. And then I got the streak and I didn't want to end my streak. So it's like, all
Heck
right,
yeah.
just keep it. So no coffee.
Coach, do you have any daily practices or rituals you do on a regular basis to show up as the strongest version of Chase Englestead?
Ooh, that's a good question. Um, it's a good question. Jeez, I just like getting up early, starting the day off good. So I always get off, either get in the pool right off the bat or get a run in. Well, I always get a run in, but sometimes it's the pool. Usually getting some core before the day starts. Yeah, that's kind of my ritual no matter what, and then try to get to bed a similar time. So I'm always to bed between 9 and 10 o'clock 100% of the time, and always up between 5 and 5:30 every morning. So just keep that routine, and then I just show up every day and do it. So even I'm 41 right now, but I've probably hit 60 miles a week average for the last, whatever, since I've started running. Since my return back from the mission, I've probably hit 60 miles a week since then. So yeah, good into that. And never had a running injury before. So I've run that long and I've never had a ding up or an injury or anything that stopped me from running, which is pretty cool. So
Do you still
yep.
race at all?
I don't race very often. Periodically, I raced. The last race I did was 36, and I jumped in a UVU 5K with the college kids just for fun, and I ran 14:49. So that was the last. That was
Dang.
the last. The last time I did a race was then. I did a half marathon the year before that in like 108 or something like that. So nothing super special, but like I don't know.
It's
Don't
pretty
race very
good.
often. Just enjoy being fit. I enjoy just working out and stuff. I enjoy
Yeah.
running with the team. So pushing myself with them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Coach, what are you listening to right now? Music, podcasts, audiobooks? Are you reading anything?
Yeah, I do a lot of stuff. So I just started doing I'm almost done with Fayetteville Manlius's book, the what is that called? Great Racers, just documenting kind of how their program was, which I thought was like Bill Harris and the girls' rise to complete dominance. I've just listened to a podcast, Running Effect podcast recently with oh my gosh, why am I blanking on the coach's name? Anyways, the Colorado coach. It was Tennessee before that, and then Notre Dame. I don't know why I'm blanking on his coach. What other book am I reading right now? On top of that, yeah, I enjoy stuff like that a lot. that's kind of where I'm at with things. God, what's the other book I'm doing? Anyways, that's kind of yeah, those are the two I've listened to recently. But the Fatal Manliness book, that's a big book. I was surprised. It's just because it just goes through every year with them, but kind of interesting to see their culture and what he emphasized. And yeah, it's really interesting. So
Have you got a copy of Beyond Fast yet?
no, what is what?
That's a book about Newbury Park with
Oh, I audibled it, downloaded. That's the next book I'm on my thing is that one. So it's on my audibles right now. I just haven't done it because I'm finishing
Okay.
this other one. So,
Cool.
but it kind of the Fayetteville Manley's book. That book kind of stemmed the purchase of the Fayetteville Manley's book, which is yeah. So, yep. Have you guys read it? Is it good?
I just got through I'm starting I'll start chapter 8 tonight. It's pretty
Oh.
good. Chris Lear, helped out with it. He's running with the Buffaloes and sub 4, I think it was. He's a Jersey guy, so I enjoy his stuff. And yeah, I'm trying to get back into the groove of reading, and sometimes like running books help me kind of like renew my passion for reading. So I saw we were supposed to have Chris on, but then they postponed the release. So when I saw it popped up that it was released, I jumped on it and grabbed it. So
Cool.
it's a good read, easy read, something you can rip through a couple chapters in a night. And like I said, yeah, I'm just trying to invigorate my passion for reading again because I got a couple other books I want to get into. So I figured that would be a easy way to dip my toes in the water and get back into the groove.
Yeah, yeah, I'm excited to read it. I'm excited to go through it. What Running for My Life is my favorite all-time running book though. The Lopez Lemong story one is so
Oh,
good. Yeah.
okay.
We audibled it on the way back. We went up to a meet and the whole team listened to it on Audible. It's just like, man, it's just such a good book. Such a good book to like, I don't know. I feel like I go out of it being just more grateful for like the life that I have and the situation I have. But so if you have listeners that are looking for a really good running book, I think that one's top for me of all time. So it's a good
All
one.
right. I'll put that in the shopping cart on Amazon.
Yeah.
Coach,
Okay.
I got to give you dabs for having a bunch of college students listening to an audiobook on a trip. That is quite the accomplishment.
No, they're good, but kids are motivated, man. They like stuff like that. They'll show stuff and like, oh, I just listened to this podcast. It was awesome. And so they'll put it up on our little team chat and stuff like that. So they're down here to do big things. They like it. So they like stuff like that.
So we
Yeah.
got a new podcast for you to throw in the team chat after
Yeah.
the
Yeah, for real.
episode, and then they can listen to all their competitors and get the secret sauce from all those coaches as well.
Yeah, I gotta add it to my Spotify. Do you guys on Spotify?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir.
There you go. All right, I'm gonna do it. I'll start listening. I did go on and looked at some of the Instagram clips and stuff like that of some of them, so it's good.
Cool.
It's
Thank
fun.
you.
I feel honored to be on here. I appreciate you guys
Yeah,
inviting
we
me.
appreciate you. Coach, last one we have to close out. It's a lighthearted one. Maybe it's a unique food item in Utah. Maybe you're avid golfer. We've had some coaches that like to golf. Sometimes they like to fish. Do you have a guilty pleasure?
Guilty pleasure. Yeah, I don't know. I grew up playing a ton of sports, so I just love if I can go out and be competitive at anything, even at my age, I love it. So anything but spike ball's probably the thing that we goof around the most on. I love playing yard games and stuff like that. So I don't know if that's a guilty pleasure, but yeah,
Sure.
I'm extreme on like the food side of things. I just don't put crap in my body ever. So at
Good.
least, yeah, but
Good.
yeah.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for joining us. This was a great conversation. I can't believe we had Rich is a fellow steeple chaser as well.
Yeah,
We
look
didn't
at
even
that.
get into that. So maybe after nationals, when you guys do great out there, we'll have you back on. We'll talk some more steeple. But thank
Sweet.
you so much for your time this evening, and best of luck going forward for the rest of the season.
Yeah, Jimmy, Rich, really good to meet you guys. Thank you guys for your time. Appreciate it. It's fun.
Absolutely, Coach. Great to meet you. We wish you best of luck with the rest of the season, and we'll be rooting for you as well as our other friends when you guys get to Fort Dodge. And we're excited to see how everything goes for the Badgers this year.
Awesome. Sweet. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is Coach Chase Englestead from Snow College. Make sure you go check out those links in the show notes. Go give the Badgers a little bit of love on social media. Let them know that the Airey Bros sent you. And make sure you're checking them out throughout the season as they head into nationals come November. They'll be towing the line in Fort Dodge with some of our other friends. We will be back on Wednesday evening. I don't want to butcher the coach's name, but it's from Ranger College down there in Texas. So we'll be back on the cross-country course as well. So have a great Tuesday, and we'll see you back here on Wednesday.